So first I just start by washing and sterilizing my jars. I've brought all these jars up from the basement and most of them were clean and I put them away freshly washed and clean, but of course I'm going to rewash them and sterilize them to make sure that there's no bacteria, germs, or anything creepy from the basement got in there. So that's the first step. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to let them dry and then I can get started on my apples. So I got all these apples at such a good deal that I knew I had to make something exciting out of them because it's not really the right time of year to get fresh apples, but they were on this mega discount rack. So I thought that I'm going to totally take advantage of this. So in the meantime, I'm just filling up the canner now with water, and because I'm canning these in quart jars, I'm only going to fill it about 2/3 of the way full and put it on the stove probably on low just to get it started because I have a lot of apples to slice and I can't wait to try my new apple slicer, but I know it's going to take a while, so I'm just slowly going to warm that up. And I'm just checking on how many lids I have. If I have to go down to the basement again, I might have to go down. My favorite is wide mouth jars, but sometimes I use whatever jars I have, and I scour garage sales, and family looks for canning jars for me, and everybody tries to keep their eye out. So I've got 2 sizes of pots, and that is definitely not going to be big enough, so I'm going to have to use my stock pot, but I don't trust that it doesn't burn the bottom of this particular stock pot, so I think I'm going to make my filling in the smaller pot, because then for sure I know that it won't burn, and I'll use the bigger stock pot when I peel my apples to put them in. So I'm just getting all setting up, and I'm going to start peeling all these apples on this awesome peeler. And so of course I'm going to get my chicken bucket out and save all the scraps for them. They're so excited when it's time for me to take out the scraps because they absolutely love apples. They're going to go crazy, and anytime I bring them fresh fruit, they go wild. So that's quite a bit of apples, and I counted how many apples I had, and so I'm going to use the recipe. We're going to start with 30 apples, and I've added 5 extra apples in, so I'm actually using 35 apples approximately, maybe 36, because I'm showing you some that are bruised, and I'm noticing that a couple of them got some spots, and so I'll have to cut a bunch out, so I'll probably lose a few apples in there. So we're going to go with 35 for this recipe. And so when I moved to this new homestead, I didn't have a lot of the stuff that we needed because when we sold the last farm and moved into the city and downsized, we had to, downsize a lot of stuff. We had to sell a lot of stuff off. And my old apple slicer was one of them that I must have given away, which I'm shocked I did, but anyway, I did. So my hubby just bought me this new one, and what a dream. It's the exact same one I had, except the other one screwed to the counter. And I'm just so happy to have this again. And I just keep thinking about all that stuff that I could have used, but we just have to let things go, and sometimes it's okay to start over. And we definitely started from scratch again. So if that's you, I hear you and understand you and know the feeling. Especially thinking about all of my farm equipment and gates and things that I had for the pigs and the animals. I gave so much stuff away. And sometimes there's just such small things in the kitchen that I go look for that I can't find because I think that I have them, but they're gone. But that's okay. So anyway, this thing is peeling like a dream, and it's making these into these cute little spirals, and I've got that water on low on the stove while I'm doing this, so I'm not too worried about it. But as you know, we have to have the canning jars either at the same temperature of the water that they enter into the water bath canner, or we need to start the jars in the canner on really, really, really low and warm the water up with the jars. So that's probably what I'm going to do, because I have such a huge batch that nothing's going to be hot. The jars aren't going to be hot and ready to go into the canner at the right time of the water. I can tell already, because this is going to be a bit of a job. I'm also starting to get a lot of skin and cores that so many, my bucket's starting to get really full. Chickens are going to be eating this for a long time. I've realized that if you put the apple on with the front, it tends to not work as good as if you put it in the back. It seems to center the apple on here, so that seems to be the best way to do it. I've tried both ways now, and I'm trying to find the fastest way possible. I'm also going to cut off all of the bruised pieces, so I probably will end up having to just hand peel this stuff, and then I'll just cut them and chop them. And I'm not too fussy on what sizes my apples are that go into the jar, and that they're all perfect or anything. It really doesn't matter to me, because they're just going to get baked into something, or the only time you're really examining it is when it's on ice cream. But we don't care, because the taste is so good, it's so worth it, that you don't even worry about it. So like I said, I put the 30 in there, but there's probably 5 to 7 apples at least that are pretty bruised, and I'm going to lose a lot of apples, so I'm accounting for that. So the next step is to get the lemon juice going. So you can use fresh lemons, or you can use bottled lemon juice. It totally doesn't matter. I have lots of lemons, but I don't want to use all of them. So I'm going to put half fresh squeezed lemon and maybe half of the prepared lemon juice. We'll see how it goes. So now I'm just going to squeeze all these in there and get as much out as I can. And you're going to need 7 tablespoons of lemon juice. So that's you're probably getting 1 tablespoon per half of a lemon if they're juicy. So you could just use regular lemon juice for the rest, or for all of it. It doesn't really matter, whatever you want. If you have lots of lemons. Lemons have become so expensive lately, it's crazy. So that's why I'm not going to use them all, because I like to have hot lemon and honey sometimes in the morning, and I only want to make it with the fresh lemons. So now we're just going to mix up all the apples into the lemon juice, because I just don't want them to get brown. So that's why I've stopped now and started putting the lemon juice on there. And I'm going to add it as I go, because as I keep peeling these apples and filling up my my stock pot, I don't want my my apples to get really brown. So that's something that will keep them really nice. And you can use a little bit extra lemon juice if you need it. It will not hurt anything if you have a lot of apples. I probably used a little bit more than the recipe called for with the 7 tablespoons. Oh, the puppies are outside. They're watching me in the window. It's so beautiful out. It's so nice of a view to look straight out at the pasture, out the window when I'm cooking and baking. I just love it. So I think I'll just wrap up the rest of these apples and do the first batch, because I'm definitely going to do 2 batches. I have so many apples, it's crazy. This is definitely going to take me a couple of hours, but it's really not that long. The biggest time consuming part is killing the apples, but if you have the apple peeler and slicer, it's going to make it super fast. I ended up getting this all done in less than probably 2.5 hours with all the peeling, and I also left the room and left things. That's including the canning time, so it's pretty quick. And you can make a smaller batch if you want. You can take this recipe, I'm going to link it below in the description, and you can take this recipe and make less if you want, if you have fewer jars or less apples, because it'll work perfectly. But this is like a big batch recipe. These apples are so good. So I'm using a mixture of Granny Smith, some Gala, because that's what was on the deal. Even though those aren't the perfect apple for this, sometimes it's best to use the harder apple. You never want to use a Red Delicious apple because those are mushy and stuff. And I would love to use the Cosmic Crisps or the Honey Crisp. Those are my absolute favorite. If you haven't had a Honey Crisp or a Cosmic Crisp apple, the Cosmic Crisp are my absolute favorite. Oh my goodness. They are so good, and they are so big, but they are on $2.99 a pound right now, so I'm not using those, and that's why these ended up being 40 cents a pound. So I'm just going to stir this up with my hands and make sure that everything's totally coated in the lemon juice so nothing goes brown. I don't want anything going brown while I'm sitting there, because now I'm going to start my sauce that I'm going to make for the pie filling. So now, because like I told you, this is a big batch, it's going to be 15 cups of water, and I'm doing it in this smaller pot because, like I said, I don't want my stuff to scorch or burn because I'm not going to watch it. So you need a heavy bottomed pot. Well, I'm going to watch it, but I'm not standing there every second stirring it or anything because I have so many apples to peel. So use a good pot with a heavy bottom that won't burn. And we're just going to put this thick sauce together for our apples and whisk it. So I've got all my water, and I'm going to add my cornstarch now, which is 2 cups of cornstarch. And so I'm going to just whisk that in and get it going on the stove on low, medium low, because like I said, we don't want this to burn or anything, but we want it to thicken up and be really delicious. So you're gonna put in your 2 cups of cornstarch, and you're gonna whisk it and whisk it down until it's nice. And such a beautiful day. I can't wait to go give these chickens some of this bits. So as soon as I get this sauce done, I think I'll go outside and give them those scraps, because I'm gonna need another bucket. My cornstarch mixture is warming up nicely, and it's not thickening yet, but I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. So now you're going to add 4 cups of white sugar and 2 cups of brown sugar. Now if you prefer, you can do 3 cups white sugar and 3 cups of brown sugar, but it's up to you. It's totally up to you. You can do it however you like. I just love this recipe because this recipe, by the way, is not very sweet. And if you're looking for something really sweet or more sweet, you might want to add an extra cup of sugar, because I tweaked this recipe to work for this amount of apples. So, and I liked it a little bit, I'd love it tart, but with some nice sweetness to it, but not super sweet, because I find that it takes away from the apples. So I'm sticking with 4 cups white sugar, 2 cups of brown sugar for the way that my taste buds like it. Then we're just going to add half a tablespoon of salt, 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 3 tablespoons of vanilla. And we're just going to whisk that all together. It smells so amazing in here. The smell is just like cinnamon heaven. And once I add this vanilla, it's going to be amazing. Now I'm using my homemade vanilla extract, but you can use any kind of vanilla extract that you want. I just love the homemade vanilla because you can keep topping up your bottle if you've got really nice strong vanilla beans. And then you have a never-ending vanilla, because have you seen the price of vanilla, friends? It's crazy. Like everything else, it's just, the price is just crazy. So I'm totally now gonna whisk everything up and keep it on the stove on low to medium, and I'm gonna keep checking on it periodically and stirring it until it gets to the proper thickness that I want it. I want it to be where it's lifting from the whisk and a nice thick consistency of pie filling, not runny. So now I better go back and finish my apples, because I have a lot of apples to peel, as you can see the size of that bowl, and my bucket is so full. I'm gonna have to go get another bucket for scraps for the peels. I wonder if I should put any of these apples in the dehydrator. No, I think I'm going to can everything. If I had a freeze dryer, I would freeze dry some of these apples, that's for sure. The sauce is looking so good, and it smells so nice in here. It's not thick enough yet, but and this water is slowly coming to a really low simmer. I gotta make room for more slices or get another bucket, you guys. Oh, and my sauce is done. It's so thick and beautiful. I'm gonna put it on dump it right over all of my apples. That bowl of apples is for the next batch, and I've got them set to the side now. And I'm just gonna put my cornstarch, cinnamon, brown sugar sauce all over those peeled apples with the lemon juice, and then I'm gonna stir them all up until everything's evenly coated. I think I just would love a bowl of this before I even put it in the canning jar. That would be so yummy. You want to stir this up really, really good so everything is totally coated and ready for your jars. Now, we talked earlier about the jars were going to probably be room temperature because I washed and sterilized them all at the beginning, and so I've set them to the side, and the jars are room temperature and my sauce is hot, so that is why I have my canner on low. So now, look at this. Sauce is so yummy, you guys. So good, and there's just the right amount of sauce ratio to apples. Oh, I saw a little bit of peel in there, and I'm not fussy, so I really don't care. I like I said, my apple pieces don't have to be perfectly symmetrical, so I'm just gonna go ahead with it anyway and start filling my jars. And I can't wait to see how many jars that I end up getting from this. I can't remember how many I get. I just remember this being my big batch recipe. So you want to spoon it into your jars really evenly, and remember to only fill them just over 3/4, because what happens is if your sauce bubbles over too much. I put too much in this jar. I'm going to end up taking some of this out. That's way too much filling. You want to leave more headspace than you think with the apple pie filling. You want to leave at least like 2 inches. And it's really, really sticky, and you want to clean your jars as you go and wipe the rings with a hot soapy cloth. And then you can wipe the top with either really hot water or vinegar on the top. And I seen some seeds, so I'm just gonna get them out. Somehow a seed got in there. That I don't want. I don't want anybody getting a seed. That would be no good. So I'm thinking that I'm ending up gonna get quite a few jars. And it's looking so good. The smell. I want to eat some of this. That's way too much in my jar. Again, I'm going to end up taking it out because what it does is it bubbles over in the canner. And it's okay if that happens to you and you have put too much in there, and when you've taken them out, the jars are all sticky and you can see it bubbling around the ring that it didn't seal. Immediately take your ring and seal off and wash them. Take some apple pie filling out of the jar, wash the ring, the top really well with a hot clean cloth, and put the seal and the lid back on and put them back in the canner, and you can reseal them that way. You don't have to waste that seal. You can reuse that seal. I've done that before, because some things that are like this tend to really, really bubble up. And before we're going to put the lids on now, we're going to clean the top, wash the sides a little bit, and then we're going to stick a knife down in there and try and get out all the air bubbles. Now I've taken the knife and I've stuck one in each one to get out the air bubbles. And then we're going to put the lids on and make sure that they're nice and clean and sterilized. Some people like to warm them up. I find that my stuff always seals really well. So, and I'm at quite a high elevation, and I used to do the thing where I was taught by my grandma to simmer the lids and the rings and then take them out and put them on really hot, but I'm putting them on at room temperature. They've already been sterilized, and because I'm putting them in the canner on really low, and I'm going to bring it to the boil with the jars inside of the canner because the filling is quite hot now and it's slowly warming my jars up, and that way I won't get any jars exploding or any breakage. Just look at that. It is so pretty. Look how much amazing you've done. And they look so pretty on the pantry shelf. These are one of the items that just look so beautiful, and they make wonderful gifts. These are the best things to stick in a gift bag with a bottle of wine and some homemade vanilla at Christmas for a gift. So then you're going to just set them inside of the canner in the water. It depends if your jars are really hot and you've just sterilized them and they've come out of the dishwasher or something, and you put the hot filling in, you can have already hot water. But like I said, mine weren't, so we're going to put them in this way, and then we're going to drop them into the water that's only the same temperature as the jar and the filling. That way nothing's going to break. I'm just going to add a little bit more water on top too, because I noticed that I don't quite have enough to cover the top of the jar. And then I'm going to put the lid on and wait for it to come to a boil. Oh, what a nice day. It is so beautiful out. Everybody's enjoying the sunshine, basking in the sun. They probably want some apple pie filling too. Oh, it's finally time. Let's go give these birds a treat. Everybody's happy to go outside, that's for sure. Time to stretch, lazy bones.
Chickens, grabs.
What a day. Hi girls! Hi girls! You are so pretty. Hey, I've got like such a good treat for you. You're gonna love it. And lots more coming because I still have to do a second batch. They're happy. Oh, and Mom can't wait for the snow to melt. Oh my goodness. Up here in the Cariboo, well, at our house up north, we still have, look at this, look how many feet of snow we still have. It's crazy. The plowing that we had to do this winter, oh my goodness. I shouldn't say that. I didn't do any plowing, but my hubby, he's exhausted from it. So we can't wait for spring, and I can't wait to get my hands in the soil and touch the dirt and start planting my seeds. Guys, so thank you so much for watching. I'm finally finished the apple pie filling. Oh, and they're pinging right now as we speak. So I've got 14 quarts here already, and I've got 6 more in the canner. So it was a really good day, and I'm exhausted. So that is like me tapping out. But they look so beautiful. I won't touch them because they're boiling hot, but you can see how pretty they are. And it's really important that you leave more space in the jar than you actually think, because that was super, one of them I filled too full and it started bubbling out over the side after, and I had to recan it. So you actually, I would recommend filling just over 3/4 full at the most, because it bubbles up so much. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe. I can't wait to see another day for another video, and cook with me. Bye, friends. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's the next day and these are so beautiful. They just look so nice and thick. It turned out so well. And I have to say, we opened up a can and had it on vanilla ice cream and they were to die for. So it was to die for. The flavor is just so good. It's not too sweet because I did make my recipe cut back on the quite a bit of sugar. But I just want to tell you how yummy it was. So I hope to see you next time in my next video. Bye, guys.